Welcome, baby, to the Media Masterminds. R.I.P. the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, if you will. I am Paul. Joining me, as always, Mr. Benny Rose. Benny, how we doing?
Sweet Sapphire, baby.
Oh, baby, we went straight to the buffet right after the funeral.
Okay.
No disrespect to the American Dream.
No,
so this is our E3 special. We are recording it on Wednesday night of E3, so there still is one more day, but all the conferences and what seems like all the major news has come out. So overall, before we go and drill down into conferences, well, let me just mention, this is just strictly video games we're going to talk about today, just E3. So if you're wanting some entertainment and the other stuff we usually do, you're going to have to wait till next show for that. But on to E3. What do you think, Ben? From what we've seen, better than previous years. I know we had some predictions last show, but what are your thoughts without going extremely into detail overall?
Very, very surprised in a good way. I think that a lot of the companies came out swinging. It became game focused. We saw a lot more that we wanted to see and a lot less of what we didn't want to see, if not none of what we didn't want to see.
Right.
With the exception of Just Dance. Who gives a shit?
Well, which was Ubisoft, right?
That was probably the worst thing of everything. We'll get to that point. That was just painful.
Well, we started off. I live tweeted a lot of the conferences this week at Legend Pop on Twitter. I did not do Bethesda. So Bethesda actually kicked off the show on Sunday. Well, we saw Fallout. What else did we see from Bethesda? I can't even recall now.
We saw Doom.
Right. We saw Doom.
We got some gameplay, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Trying to remember what else we saw from them.
They also released an iOS Fallout app, which already is out now, which is free. Which I've been playing. It's pretty cool, actually. Fallout Shelter.
Pretty addictive, surprisingly.
Yeah, and it's not a crazy money grab either. For like microtransactions. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's cool. I was gonna say, I just read an article actually, them saying the game is making more money than Candy Crush right now, and they don't even force you to buy anything, which I think is pretty awesome. But another game was Dishonored 2.
Yes,
and
the definitive Dishonored collection. Those games really don't interest me too much, but this may get me into Fallout. I've mentioned on the show that I had Fallout sealed and I never played it, but now they're saying that Fallout 4 will come with Fallout 3, and somehow that will work, which we'll touch on a little bit after in the Microsoft, little spoiler for the Microsoft conference. But I wonder if did they say that the iOS app is going to connect to the game as well?
They did not mention any integration between the two. There is a chance we can get it in an update, as we get closer to the release of the game. It could be cool. It could be something
really cool, actually.
Yeah, it could be something simple like unlocking, maybe the Dweller outfit. Maybe you don't start off with that outfit, or something to that pertaining. Some type of homage to, hey, thanks for playing the game early. Here you go.
Right, weapons or anything really to that make a universal account similar to like Warner Brothers and give you some unlockables.
True, could do that.
So let's go into Microsoft then, since what I was looking for was new IPs. That's what was my main thing. Was, are we going to see some new IPs? And I can say up front, we saw a good amount of new IPs from everybody. And I think they did a pretty good job with that. That's the thing that I am most impressed probably about E3 this year. But they open with Halo 5. What did you think of that?
Not surprising. I mean, unfortunately, the feed that I was watching was dog shit taco, especially during that time. So, everybody talking about how great the game looks. It looked like shit to me because my feed looked like shit.
Right.
I didn't get into the beta, so I don't know how it played to begin with. But I'm sure it'll be good if you're a Halo fan. I did play 4 thoroughly for the story. I don't play multiplayer. I will pick it up, obviously. But I don't know much about it other than you know,
Just
that
just
it's coming out.
just watching it, it looked good, but it looked like Halo 5, almost Destiny. Not, it just looked like the same thing that we're used to seeing. It looked like the same exact game.
Gotcha.
Then they showed off a new IP. They showed off. I'm going to be glancing down to my iPad for the people that are actually watching. Uh, I, they showed off Recore. Did you happen to see the video for this?
Yes, I did actually.
This looked like a
Pretty cool.
pretty cool concept where the companion character has a core, like a sphere almost inside of it that looks like be interchanged into different characters.
So it's pretty much knack for Xbox One,
It looked
but good.
it looked a little mature. Not
Right.
I don't mean like gory, but the graphic style looked more adult.
Right. It definitely gave me a look and feel of a game like Enslaved, something that one of my favorite studios does. Heavenly Sword. I definitely got that vibe.
Right.
But I guess we'll see. It's too early to tell for me. The demo didn't really, the trailer didn't really do much for me, but it was refreshing to see, a new IP come to the table.
Right, and pretty early on in the conference.
Right, especially being an exclusive.
Yeah. Next up, Microsoft went through a new feature coming to the Xbox One, backwards compatibility.
Totally threw everybody off.
Yeah, big surprise to everyone. Backwards compatibility is going to start rolling out to preview Xbox members, and then this holiday, and now they're saying fall holiday, so it may come a little sooner rather than later. I think they weren't expecting as big a applause as they got. At least 100 titles, which I'm sure will consist of all of the first-party games and then third-party providers as they go through them.
Right. Yeah, it looks like the preview list is pretty short for now, but I know that there are going to be people that want to just have the idea to be able to play some of those first-party titles like Perfect Dark and Cameo, stuff like that.
Right. So what I thought about this, and I've been following it pretty intently, is I think it's a really cool idea. I mean, I guess it seems more special because we don't have it this generation. We don't have the capability of doing it at all this generation, and being able to play those previous 360 games on the Xbox One, still earn achievements, still play online multiplayer, which is a really cool feature, and that they don't have to do anything specific to the games to get them to work. Whereas the original Xbox to the Xbox 360, they had to do some things why certain games didn't work, certain games would freeze or textures would get messed up. All the games will work. They just need the approval from the company, the third party, that they can make it work on the system using the emulation and whatever they're doing. So I thought that's a really cool feature, and what's very interesting about it is when you put in your disc, if you put in your 360 disc and it's compatible, it's not reading anything off the disc other than the fact that you own the disc. It then downloads the game onto your hard drive, so nothing is ever read off the disc at all.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, that opens kind of the floodgates for friends that are borrowing games.
Right.
I would think. I don't see how that makes sense because, from what I understood, maybe I misunderstood it, but they specify that, when you own a game that's digital, it'll automatically add itself to your queue.
Yes.
So if you own a disc-based game and it just happens to be in the queue, then it'll just add it, and then you don't need the disc ever again.
No, you still need the disc. You still need the disc in the drive, just like you do now for the Xbox One games.
Fair enough. Okay,
but it's not reading anything off the disc. It's the Microsoft is making a unique version that will only be read on an Xbox One. So the disc does nothing. It just tell you that you own the game. Basically, like Killer Instinct. They made those disc-based Killer Instinct, and it just downloads the game.
Got it. Did not know that.
Yeah, so it's when I heard that, I thought that was a really interesting thing, and because it emulates the system thinking it's a 360, but the game is running natively inside of it, something where there won't be any issues with the games and compatibility. So
like it's tricking the Xbox One into thinking it's an Xbox One game, essentially.
Right, exactly. So cool. That could be a big system seller for them, and then especially the fact that they're looking to add these 360 former games as possible pre-order content for upcoming games. They're going to be doing it with Rainbow Six and also with Fallout, where if you pre-order the games, you get the older 360 games with it to play on the Xbox One or 360 for that matter.
Right. That is pretty cool. Very strategic.
Oh,
It's not something that Microsoft's known for.
no, definitely not. But it made me kind of wish that I had more digital games on my 360, so I wouldn't have to go scrounge around for games and stuff like that now.
Right. Yeah, I think I have a pretty good digital library and a lot of stuff I never played. So it'll be cool to see like my queue just start popping and filling up.
Right. But one thing you could probably say for certain now is that Alan Wake won't get remastered because it'll probably be playable via this way.
Right. Which I'm kind of okay with.
Yeah, me too now.
The game looks great on its own right. We agreed. And just to be able to play it on a system without having to, take the dust off the other one, because I'm sure neither one of us have played our 360 in, Lord knows how long.
Well, actually, I popped in Deadpool when I picked up Deadpool, but outside of that, I haven't played it for really worth anything.
Got it.
And then also on their website, because like I said, I've been following this one probably more than anything else at the conference, they have an area where you can vote for the games that you'd like to see the backwards compatibility used for.
Right.
So you can upvote games, and some of the games that you can expect already. I don't know why Halo Reach is on there when it's in the image that they showed us a teaser, because Halo Reach is going to be one of those games that's backwards compatible, but it's on that list. Red Dead Redemption, which I think would be a cool one to pick up and be able to play on the Xbox One. It was a couple other first-party games. Fallout was up there, but now we've confirmed that they're putting Fallout on the system anyway.
Right.
So it's all whether the third-party companies are going to approve them. If they're making a remaster for the title, then I'm sure they won't. But for the most part, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't approve it.
Right. That makes total sense.
One other thing before we step on is they said that games that use paraphernalia will not be supported, because I thought this was a good opportunity to be able to use Rock Band since you can use the instruments, but apparently they will not be supported. As of right now, they will not be supported.
Right. Same thing with the Kinect. The original
Yes.
Kinect will not. Rest in peace, both of them.
I was just going to say,
dig one big ass grave for both of them.
Put it with ET.
Yes.
I was going to say that they might as well put the original Kinect with the current Kinect, because they don't use either of them for anything.
They're paperweights for your TV.
Let's see what else they went through at the Microsoft conference. They went through EA Access, which is a program that's offered only on the Xbox One, where you can access back catalog games for, I believe it's $5 a month or $30 for a year.
Right, correct.
They're offering a free 6 days. Well, now it's like 5 or 4 days, depending on when you're listening to this, where you could try it out. I'm actually downloading NHL to see. I mean, it's just letting you download the game as if you had bought it. And then they included Titanfall now, which I think they thought would get a bigger roar than it did. When Titanfall you can get for between $10 and $15 brand new from some places.
Yep, terrible.
And they're adding Dragon Age Inquisition.
I think that'll push them more. Once that's put out there.
Yeah, at the end of the summer they're adding that. So it's pretty cool for a trial. I mean, if they had something to play, like say they did the trial right around Madden, where you could play Madden 5 days early, it might have got more people to mess around with it. But I still think it's a good value for $30. Like say I wanted to play Need for Speed, and rather than just go buy the game, if the game costs $30, I could just do the subscription for the service, play Need for Speed and everything else for the $30 that I would have spent on Need for Speed.
Right. No, it totally makes sense.
Okay, then they went through. I mean, at this point, they had most of the games were the end of 2015, and then 2 of them for early 2016, according to what they said, which is a pretty good slate, and you'll see where that comes into effect with Sony and Nintendo a little later on. But they went into Forza, which I have no interest in, Dark Souls, and Tom Clancy game. I believe it was The Division.
Yep.
Any interest in those 3?
Nope. And no.
Okay.
The Division, I'm going to call it Watch Dogs 2. Do you know why I'm calling it Watch Dogs 2?
Why don't you inform us why?
Because the game was shown maybe 2 years ago at E3, and the game looked fucking faboo. Fast forward to this week.
How you doing?
And the game looks like Mung. Okay, I'm watching these trailers and I'm watching the gameplay, and they did exactly what Watch Dogs did, which was they unveiled this game, and the game looked ridiculous. And then 2 3 years later, they showed the game, and it looks like a last gen game. The graphics were not impressive at all. I like the concept of the game. I don't like that they're trying to sell it that it's an RPG, because by no means have they shown anything to justify that. They have not shown any attributes for leveling up, skill levels, nothing. And I have friends from gaming age that are at E3 that have had some hands-on with it, and they've specified the same thing. You don't see anything in the demo that really gives you the idea that it's an RPG at all. It's a shooter.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that I'm a little concerned that the game is going to fail, in the sense of the expectations are going to be too high, and it's not going to fall where it needs to be. It's definitely going to fall short. But I'm calling that for my opinion.
They did
Fallout 2. Watch Dogs 2. Stay away.
They did a bait and switch. It looked great, and then they switched it up.
Really bad.
But then a funny thing was that it was tweeted out. I'm going to mention it. Is Ed Boon tweeted out at this point in the conference that so now it's safe for me to announce Mortal Kombat 9 and Injustice coming to the Xbox One. So does that mean that Warner Brothers is going to okay those for backwards compatibility?
Looks like it, because I feel like if he was going to go into more detail and say, Redux, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
HD, and at the end of the day, Injustice was done on PS4,
right?
And he's not calling it the ultimate version. So
I wonder how the DLC is going to work for these games. I mean, we'll have to see how that works also.
Well, it looks like everything is going to be using its own queue system from the 360, your achievements, everything. So most likely the downloads will be the same way. I think the format's probably similar.
The store may get cluttered though, but I think that's why they're doing the new UI for the operating system also.
Right, and it looks like it's essentially emulated per game as far as the UI. So time will tell.
All right, let's keep on pushing through, and they showed Cuphead, which we've both been following. Cuphead, which is the 1930s-esque style cartoon side scroller shooter, all kinds of. It looks great. Looks really awesome.
Really exciting. It's like super clean, fluid. Just looks like a ton of fun. The animation is just so much homage to the old, 1930s cartoons and stuff. Very colorful.
Yes.
But you could tell it's definitely adult. It's not made for kids, And
that got a 2016, which I'm okay with. It looks great.
Yeah, it's pretty much, for me, it's a bummer, because I was hoping that it would have made it this year. I do like that it has co-op, so you can play together. That's pretty awesome.
And from what I heard, it's playable on the show floor, and I heard some good things so far.
Cool. So I guess we just got to sit and wait, right?
Yeah. Then they showed off Tomb Raider, brand new Tomb Raider game. Which what are your thoughts on the new Tomb Raider? I thought it looked great. Looked incredible.
Yeah. No, I mean, I loved the definitive version of the first one, so I was sold from day one without gameplay footage. For it to be an Xbox One exclusive, it sucks for
a time.
The hardcore, fanboys that did not buy an Xbox. They still won't buy it. Like, at least 2 or 3 people I've spoken to, they're like, the game looks amazing. I'll wait for it to come out on PlayStation.
Right.
So I mean, the game is not gonna convert that many people. I don't think the game is. It really looks ridiculous.
It looks very much like the exact same game, just in a different environment from the last game. But I'm okay with that, because I really enjoyed the last game. So I'm totally fine with that. New rich environments, new tombs to look at. I'm totally cool with that.
Right. And I think, now that they have the new hardware, it being built on that versus, the other game wasn't up-res. It was definitely, some of it was rebuilt, but it wasn't from the ground up.
Right.
So I think they'll have more advantages of having the hardware work in their favor this time, even more so. And I mean,
that's true.
Her hair it was one of the biggest features of the last game with the definitive, because it took part from the visuals of the PC version where there was a lot of fabrication with the details of her hair, and that you saw the individual hairs upon moving, and you didn't see that on the 360 and PS3. So I think that they'll be able to go into more detail with that. Like you can tell even with her jacket and stuff, with the way it's flailing, you can kind of almost see the fabric.
Yeah,
which I think is pretty cool.
and with all the textures with the snow and stuff like that, it just
and
looks,
ice,
it looks
and
great.
as the ice is cracking before it actually
Yeah.
breaks apart, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm glad that that's coming out this year.
Then we had the rare replay, which will be 30 rare titles for $30 coming out in August.
Fap sounds. Fap sounds for both of us.
I am very happy with this release, and a former Pops pick, a former Rose Thorn prick, are both in this release.
Pretty amazing, I think, that we both even mentioned. I was like, in a perfect world, what game would you love to have? And here you go. Microsoft heard you, despite all the bullshit.
They really want me to stop. They want me to stop shitting on their system. All right, give him Blast Corps. Give the other guy Conquer. We'll just shut them up.
Hopefully, if I get the Nintendo 64 version, I will be nice. If it's the Xbox version,
I would say I'm 98% sure it's the Nintendo 64 version.
Then I'm totally cool with it.
Because all of the icons, it's playable on the floor, and I watched some gameplay from it. All the icons are bad fur day. It's not live and reloaded. So
right, same thing I noticed on the cover. So that makes me extremely happy. So
a really good deal if you have the Best Buy membership. Also, I think it'll end up being like $24. It's already up for pre-order. So
yep.
I mean, that's a game you might want digitally to download on a system and never have to worry about putting a disc in for 30 titles. It's pretty cool. But I mean, to get an extra $6 or $7 off might be worth just having a disc.
Agreed.
And then they showed off a brand new property from Rare. It's a pirate game. I think it was called Sea of Thieves, if I remember correctly.
I missed out on that.
It looked like a first-person pirate game, a little cartoony in the style of Perfect Dark Zero, I would say.
Okay, so semi-cel shaded.
Yes, it looked pretty good. It looked, I mean, it's a new IP. It's worth a gamble compared to what they've been doing with the Kinect and all the other BS avatars and stuff like that. Let them make a game, even if it ends up being halfway decent, and make a new title.
Agreed. No banjo, surprisingly.
Yes, no banjo, but Ukulele got its funding, £2.1 million.
Euro, yeah.
Yeah, so it will have the free DLC for backers, which I am one.
Team Ukulele right here.
We're going to get to Team Shenmue shortly.
Shenmue.
Team Amiibo.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
Team
then they... Okay, then they went to Fable Legends, which is going to be free to play, which I think they needed to do to rebuild that franchise. I really don't have too much to add on that.
Disappointed. Peter Molyneux was the innovator of that, and when he left to do his own studio and they kept it, it's just one of those franchises I feel like will never be the same. And obviously they're starting by making the game completely different.
Yeah.
So I don't have high hopes. I will probably still play it, but I loved Fable 1, Fable 2, Fable 3 was just kind of, I don't know. It left me wondering why they went in such a different direction with just kind of like the aging stuff. Like you always aged in the games, but you just spent a lot of time like dealing with the people, and I don't give a shit about the people. I give a shit about me. But I could be a good guy and not give a shit about the people, if that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, I'm done.
And then lastly, they went on Gears of War Remastered, Ultimate, whatever they're going to call it. It's a remaking.
Super Xbox version.
A remake of the first game, which they didn't show anything at the conference of, but they announced as a multiplayer beta, which will launch. And then they showed off what they are saying is in-game Gears of War 4 cover-based shooter, which I have no interest in.
That will not be called Gears of War 4. That is also extremely dark.
What will it be called?
They did not officially say, but they said it will not be Gears of 4.
Oh, it said Gears 4 on the screen when they showed it.
No, I'm saying like I guess in the sense of story, maybe it's just kind of like starting a whole new cast of characters or whatever. Because I just read an article before, and when somebody was on the floor and asked him, it's like, is this the final title? They said, no, it's not really Gears 4. It's, we can't speak on that.
Cover based alien shooter. That's what it's called.
Next gen.
So we didn't get any Silent Hills, which was the rumor. I mean, they shut it down right away, but sometimes studios do that just to deter and make it a surprise. But no Silent Hills. So outside of that, what did you think of the Microsoft conference?
There was one or two really, really good unveils. I can't speak right now. But overall, there was a lot of stuff I'm not interested in. But I think they did a good job. As a presenter, they had a lot to offer. I think that would have been great if we saw more stuff that we were interested in. Give us a little more info on something like Quantum Break, which we knew wasn't going to, be this year. But
they should have showed a little something, even if it was just a sizzle reel.
Let us know where it is.
But I have to say, I'll throw it up front here. Is I thought Microsoft did the best of the bunch of all the conferences.
Really?
Yeah, I think they did.
Why is that?
I mean, the backwards compatibility, new IP, they're tried and true franchises. They really hit on all cylinders. They didn't show sports titles like they have in the past, that are for everyone. They stuck to really exclusive heavy and feature heavy for their own system. And I thought they had some great titles in there that are all coming out relatively soon, either the end of this year or the beginning of next year, with the exception of Gears of War 4, which I don't care about anyway.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Then we had an EA conference, which, I mean, we can kind of speed through. We took a while for the Microsoft one, and EA didn't really show off too much, but I do want to touch on some things. They had a trailer for a new Mass Effect, which is a long ways off.
Andromeda?
Yes. Which I think they said might not be the definitive title also.
Okay.
New Need for Speed title. Then a very cool game that I think is one of the best to show also is called Unravel.
Yes.
Where it's a yarn-based character, not to be confused with Epic Yarn, Kirby, whatever it is. But it's a yarn character that you go through the level and you unravel your yarn as you're walking automatically, and you need to use the yarn to do certain things. It's a 2D side scroller. I would say to look up the trailer and some of the gameplay for that. Look really cool.
And the character's name is Yarny.
Yarny. Then we went into Plants vs. Zombies 2.
Meh.
Yep.
Next year.
NBA.
Why the hell does that need to be out next year? Sorry.
You're exactly right. NBA Live, which I said they need to give out to people for free because no one's given that a chance.
I'm surprised that they're bringing it back again. They're going to cancel it after this one again.
I mean, really? FIFA, they brought out Pele. I mean, I respect the guy, and he's a great soccer player, but this is a video game conference.
Well, nothing beats having the that weird dude come out for the facial recognition for the basketball game. That was just painful to watch. Yeah. He's like trying to give him a pound and stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is really bad.
They showed off a Star Wars mobile game, which I had no interest in either, and then they finally showed off Battlefront, which looked awesome. Totally bought me in on Battlefront.
Jaw dropping. What'd you say?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that they showed on Hoth and the stuff that they showed on Tatooine looked awesome.
I hate to break the news to you, but you kind of went completely dead on my end. So hopefully we'll see how that translates. But I'm sure you said everything was good.
It looked awesome on Hoth. All the stuff we saw on Tatooine. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I just said Hoth and Tatooine. I thought looked incredible and so seamless between the AT-AT or the TIE Fighter or the X-Wings or the Snow Speeders or being on the floor. It looked awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, it's pretty much their Battlefield for the year, if you think about it, because they don't have a Battlefield coming out this year.
But it looks better than the last Battlefield anyway.
Right. Agreed.
Then we went to Ubisoft, which opened with a nice surprise. No?
If you're talking about the chick that came out, that was a real good surprise that she was back.
No. She definitely was not a good surprise. You forgot already what they opened with?
I do.
South Park.
I did.
South Park.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That
So
was
the forcible butt hole.
no, the fractured
Butthole.
No, you said it too fast. Fractured but whole.
BUT. Next word. WHOLE.
There you go. What's the better part of this game reveal? The fact that it exists, the fact that they came out, or the fact that the character style that they're using.
The fact that we're getting another South Park game in the same style as the previous last South Park game is I'm bought in. They could reskin, just like Tomb Raider, they could reskin the game with a new story in the same city, which I'm sure they're going to use a lot of the same assets, and release it, and I will buy it.
Sounds good.
Just based off the last one being so great.
Now, I'm hearing, I don't know if this is true or not, Obsidian is not involved this time.
I heard that also.
That's a little disappointing.
I'm sure Ubisoft must have the engine themselves now or something along those lines.
Okay.
I mean,
you have faith.
I have faith because I look at it like the Arkham Asylum effect, where Arkham Asylum was made by Square Enix, and then Warner Brothers took over it, and they pretty much kept the same guys, team, everything, and you know, I think they end up purchasing Rocksteady. So maybe they'll buy most of the guys out or the people that worked on the team. And
well, I hope it's that, and it's not the case of Arkham Origins. That was the point I was trying to get at.
Yeah, well, it could go one of two ways then.
I guess time will tell, because we probably won't see that game till the end of next year, earliest.
I mean,
I guess
depending on how much new stuff is in the game, I would say a safe bet is fall of 2016.
Right.
Oh, your image has gone out. I do not see Mr. Rose. Oh, there we go. There, you're back.
Yeah, because you're freaking on my end too. Is it better?
I can see you. I can see you now.
5 hours. 5 hours. All right. Cool.
So the next was another new IP from Ubisoft, was For Honor, which kind of looked like a Viking version of Rise.
Right. Yeah.
And that's all I had for Ubisoft because I stopped watching at that point. I got disappointed. I think they went into a Tom Clancy game or something.
They did Assassin's Creed, which was cinematic trailer.
I was gonna say I thought they didn't show Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, no gameplay, just cinematic trailer. They did a lot of not Splinter Cell. I'm losing my brain right now. Rainbow Six. They also did Unveil at the End. Oh, that was another dog. This Ubisoft, it was entirely dog shit, with the exception of like 2 announcements. It was just painful to watch. That was like worst of show. Just Dance was just why. No, Ghost Recon. Totally different.
Ghost Recon. Your audio is all messed up on my end. I really couldn't hear you.
Gotcha. Sorry. Ghost Recon with a pretty much new coat of paint. You know, these guys are now in a huge open world taking place in Bolivia, and you got like pretty much dealing with like drug cartels.
Right.
So very Call of Juarez kind of style.
Juarez.
So it's weird because they were like hyping this, you know, last game, and everybody was thinking it was something else. I don't know what they were thinking it was, but it wasn't that. It was that. I got very disappointed with the fact that I didn't get a Beyond Good and Evil 2 announcement.
Which now looks like it might be
dead in the water.
Hitting the dusty trail, baby.
Yeah, sadly.
So we forgot to mention the guy when he was playing Battlefront. He called Luke Skywalker Skywater. Luke
Yes, that's
Skywater.
right.
That was one of my favorite parts of the show. Skywater, Luke Skywalter.
Skywater.
When you are Luke Skywalter, it wasn't an Asian guy. I don't know why I did that, but
Skywater.
Skywater-san.
All right.
So let's go into Sony. Sony opened up with what all the fanboys were waiting for.
What was it?
Last Guardian.
It exists. It's real, and it's coming to PlayStation 4.
And it looks like poopy.
It looks like pastel oils smeared on your screen.
And I don't think there's really too much to mention with that. I mean, it's a game that's been vaporware, seemingly for like 5 or 6 years. How long has this game been in development?
Too long.
So there was no date.
The way the dodo.
There was no date. There was no anything, and the graphics look like poop.
Oh, losing you again.
Yeah, this has not been a great connection today. I
don't know, man. I blame Ubisoft.
I blame Luke Skywalter.
Blame both of them. All right, so yeah, we got. What else do we get here?
Another new IP, Horizons.
Oh yeah, that was one of the boners for me right there.
Tech Tomb Raider. It looked like to me. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed what they showed out of that. That was 2016 also though, wasn't it?
Unfortunately,
Sony's main point for the whole show was it was seemingly next year. They were showing a lot for next year.
Next to nothing this year, actually.
Yeah, not as bad as Nintendo, but we'll get to Nintendo in a bit also. I don't have too much else here for Sony. I was having some network connectivity problems at that point while I was watching it. They did show No Man's Sky or No Man's Land. What is it called? That game where you travel from planet to planet.
Thing is No Man's Sky.
Yeah, which everyone is impressed by, that you could travel to all these different planets, that people can create all these different things, but no one still knows what's the point of the game. And right. I've heard that from people that have actually played the game on the show floor. They still don't know, and the company that's making it can't give a definitive answer as to what the point of the game is.
I think it's going to be just space exploration. It's going to be kind of like a more detailed kind of Sims, like you focus on simulating one person versus a group of people, and you're just exploring. Because the idea of having this huge solar system and multiple solar systems, and to the point where let's say millions are playing the game, there's still going to be millions of planets that will be undiscovered.
Yeah,
which is pretty crazy. To have something be developed and not have all the assets used.
Well, it would be cool though if it was like a Star Wars style, where you have to go do things on certain planets as far as missions or finding smugglers, or maybe they could have predetermined planets that are made by the developers for that, and or you can make your own missions and share it with friends to do. But
I guess time will tell. It could also be the type of game, kind of like Little Big Planet, where they can kind of let users, interact with that. But I don't know if they're going to want to do that. So.
They also showed Tearaway, which was a Vita game that's coming out for the PS4. Did you happen to play that at all? No.
I played it, and then I wasn't crazy for it. It's definitely it was very gimmicky for the Vita. Touchscreen focus, back touch, which I despise, all that stuff on the Vita. It's going to be the same idea, just on a console. It's going to be utilizing the motion, the gyro, the touchpad, the camera lights, so I don't care.
And they showed off some Dream Media Molecules making some Dream game that looked just bizarre.
Very, where you can kind of just create stuff, almost looks like out of digital clay,
right?
And you can kind of move everything around and kind of create stories. But is there a point to it other than that? Can you create gameplay? I don't know. Because you did see like a point when there was like a futuristic city, and
Yeah.
A speeder bike kind of type thing flying away. But I don't get big into the Little Big Planet games because I don't have the creative mind to sit there and create stuff. I usually will dabble with one or two people's ideas and give up.
Right. And this didn't look as user friendly as a Little Big Planet either.
Agreed. Agreed. Because even you could tell he was kind of like struggling a little bit.
Yeah. Uh, I don't have anything else for Sony. Was there anything else that stuck out to you for Sony?
Uh, hashtag save.
You're gonna have to repeat it. I don't got any.
Hashtag, did you get that?
Nope.
Oh man, this is a disaster.
Well, now I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh boy.
God.
Hashtag.
Yes.
Hashtag save Shamu.
Oh, we forgot that we buried the lead. We forgot the most important thing that they mentioned, even though they're not really developing it. But they brought up the creator of Shenmue and announced that the Kickstarter was beginning right that moment. $2 million funded within, 9 hours?
Yep.
And Mr. Benny Rose, hashtag Team Shenmue himself, believed in the product. He has not funded it yet, but he believed in the product, and he is a spokesperson for Shenmue 3.
No, that would be Adam Soltis. I just knew that the fans were going to jump on it. I knew that the fans believed in this game because this is a game.
They believed.
Listen to me.
All they have to do is believe.
You're such an asshole. Shut up. All these guys out there, we're talking 10 years ago where, there was such a demand for this game before you had fans really pushing to get games made, and so it's not news. It's news that the guy decided to, get off his deathbed and say, "Oh, let me make this before I die." That seems like that's what's happening. If we're going to be brutally honest, I think it's kind of a funny way of gauging interest because that's the new business acumen in the world. Because that's what ultimately what Sony did. Sony was like, "We'll present it, we'll get people hyped, we'll see how the interest is."
But it also makes them look good. Like, oh, we support the young, well, not young, but the indie scene.
We support the old scene of Dreamcast games that never got made.
We support the Sega Dreamcast.
I mean, if they said that, I would have threw money at that just alone.
If I wanted a game where I could walk around and put quarters in a quarter machine and get gumballs or walk around in a garden,
ride the crane.
Yeah, I have no interest in those. I really, it still baffles me that they got that funded that quickly, unless some big wigs really helped out.
Well, either way, I personally feel that the bigger announcement wasn't even that. Final Fantasy VII HD.
See, I didn't take notes because I was so frustrated with my connection. Nintendo, I have a lot of stuff, and I was very depressed with Nintendo. But yes, they showed a cinematic trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which originally was just going to be an up-res of the original game shown at last year's E3, which still hasn't even come out. But
that's still coming out.
Well, for PC, it looks like it's still coming out.
Well, they said PlayStation 4 too, just it's not ready.
Oh, okay.
Which leads you to believe if a game that's like 15, 20 years old is not ready, don't expect to see the other one.
But I mean, based off of even some of the other stuff Square showed after the Nintendo little thing, I'm not. This game's going to be a while. It's probably 2017, 2018. Who knows?
Yeah, most likely. But did Sony have anything else?
I don't recall anything. They didn't show anything for the Vita, which no one's really surprised. But
well, they did close the show with
Uncharted.
An Uncharted demo that crashed.
Another cover-based shooter
that looks good when it works.
I've never doubted the looks of the game. It's just I'm sick of all the sequels, and I'm glad that new IPs were focused on. But
let's be honest, I think that Ubisoft, whatever we want to call them, stole the show with just having the most amount of unnonsensical shooters. There's like 3 or 4 titles.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be any more original. Like, really?
And you probably couldn't even tell if they showed it like a 10-second clip of each game, which one was which.
Right. Because it was The Division, it was Rainbow Six, focusing on Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2 coming with it, and then
Ghost Recon.
Is that necessary? Like, why don't you put out something else like no one else is doing?
Sony, now that you got me drawing my memory and you're talking about shooters, Sony also announced that they will have the exclusive now for Call of Duty again. They brought back the Call of Duty exclusive as far as DLC release content, which I feel the same exact way. Thumbs down. Benny showing Batista bomb.
Batista bomb.
So what did you think of Sony overall?
I saw more games that I was interested in. Some stuff I expected, some I didn't. I'm kind of a Sony fanboy at heart, despite the fact that, you know me, I tend to like more of the B titles, the stuff that's not as up on the AAA radar, that they didn't show there, but they have it on the floor, which was Until Dawn. I know it's coming out this year, but they really haven't put much time into it, and that's disheartening because I think that nobody else is doing that. You know what I mean? I think it's a genre that
unless it's just shit and they're just pushing it out,
which is true, which would be also disappointing.
They kind of buried also that Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls are getting put out for the PS4.
They buried that. That's not happening.
No, it is happening.
Oh, okay. So more remakes and HD remasters. That's all we need.
Well, they're not. They've come out and said they're not going to worry about backwards compatibility. So I kind of expected some PlayStation Plus news or freebies, like bigger titles, and maybe giving us some PlayStation Now for free as PlayStation Plus subscribers, even if it's only a limited amount per month, to kind of combat the backwards compatibility.
Negative.
But from what I hear, the service is very laggy. It doesn't really work. I haven't tried it firsthand, so I can't give a valid review.
You definitely shouldn't try it. It's not going to work on Wi-Fi.
Which is really sad.
Yeah, no, it's not good even on a wired connection, because I was part of the beta program for that, and even when it was launched publicly, I didn't really see much of an improvement. The pricing system was outrageous at first. It's still not that great.
Right.
Who knows? Whatever.
All right, so let's go into Nintendo. Nintendo opened with Muppet versions of Reggie, Iwata, Miyamoto, which was just very bizarre. They tried to justify it how they're evolving, but you're evolving into Muppets. I don't really know what that.
Because Muppets are hip, so they're becoming hipsters.
Oh. Okay.
Think about that.
Pretty good. Then they showed off Star Fox with Zero for the Wii U. Holiday 2015. They showed off Donkey Kong and Bowser will be appearing in the new Skylanders game that comes out this fall, and the Skylander of each of them can be turned into an amiibo. Did you happen to see that?
Yes, I did. With the flick of a switch on the bottom, or the flick of the base.
It's interesting, but which game will they be used for then?
Well, they're both going to be used for either Smash Brothers or Mario Party. Because
that's how it'll work.
Yeah, because those are the characters that exist within that realm.
But what if that was like an upgraded piece inside that it could handle maybe both games, saves for both of them?
It's not going to be able to handle saves at both time. If we're going to get technical with the technology, they most likely have 2 cards in there, right. And it's pretty much most likely blocking one card at a time to allow the bit rate, because it's a smart card, you know. So
it's an NFC card basically, right?
Right.
Okay, then they showed off a new Zelda for the 3DS, but it's like a co-op Zelda, almost like 4 Swords, but with 3 players.
Watered down.
Yeah,
terrible.
I don't really care for it either.
I don't want to stand on 2 of the Link's heads to hit a switch.
Right,
fuck off.
Can you imagine what it's like to play with just a computer? If you even can, it's probably horrible.
Yep, that's why I never played 4 Swords.
Then they showed off these Metroid games, which look like mini games for the 3DS.
They are not Metroid games.
They're calling them
They think they
Metroid,
are.
but they are. You're right. They're absolutely not Metroid games.
Yeah, they're chibi style, which is pretty much like micro, super deformed versions of characters that you would see. As of right now, when the game was technically first unveiled, one of them was unveiled as Blast Ball, which was during the Nintendo World Championship as a playable game for one of them, and it was not revealed until the conference that this was part of Metroid Prime, which is just my brain hurts thinking about the fact that I saw it and I was watching it. I'm like, this looks like Metroid from DS, but just like trying to make it like Final Fantasy X Blitzball. Terrible. And what did they do? They slapped the paint on it and said Metroid.
The characters look like they were like me characters from like a Wii Party or something like that.
No, they are absolutely terrible. Terrible designs. And they're saying that we're going to get Samus in there. So you're going to get like a little chibi Samus. They'll probably make a chibi Samus amiibo. Everybody will get off on it, even though it'll look like dog shit. But I think the best part of everything is that there's a petition out there to get the game canceled.
That's good. That won't happen.
I mean, bravo. That's bold. That's bold.
And they showed off some anime games. I think it might have been Fire Emblem or something along those lines. They showed off what's that? The title that you like, the Chronicles. Chronicles game looked pretty cool.
Xenoblade,
like dinosaur robots.
Chronicles X.
Yeah, it looked like dinosaur robots in the background.
Yeah, it's a very complex game. RPG, tons of hours into it. Still never really played the first one thoroughly. The combat is very different than most games that are out there. It's kind of Final Fantasy 11 base, almost World of Warcraft. Kind of like hold the button and the character will run up and attack. Not crazy about that. I'd like to freely attack the characters. I prefer that action RPG versus more strategic, tactical based. But the game is extremely popular, and it is coming out this winter.
Yes.
So, that game will be out in December 2015.
And then they showed Animal Crossing Designer, which I don't know who that's geared towards. Animal Crossing style party with board game without the mini games. I don't know what they're doing with this franchise. And they showed off. Go ahead.
I was just going to say too many nooks.
Too many nooks in the kitchen. Then they showed off Yoshi, which very surprisingly isn't coming out until October when the game is done and ready to go.
Right.
I was expecting some virtual console stuff. They gave us nothing. I don't know if they're going to give it to us Thursday.
You got one game,
which was
Earthbound Beginnings.
Yeah, but that was even pre-show. That wasn't even during the.
True.
I was expecting GameCube games, more DS games, more Nintendo 64, something. You know, usually they give you something. Oh, this is going to be available today. Like something immediately. They
blew their load on Saturday, unfortunately.
They showed off a new Paper Mario for the 3DS, which actually looked pretty cool with a mixture of 2D Mario and a 3D Mario. They showed Mario Tennis, which shouldn't have taken this long to be made in the first place.
It'll still be out after everything else.
Yeah. And they showed off Mario Maker, which comes out September 11th, which is another one that should kind of be out already.
Oh, stretch those dates out. That's what Nintendo does.
Then the last conference that we had was Square.
Hold on. Before you even get to that point, we got to talk the Amiibo fiasco.
Oh, the Amiibos that they announced. What about the pixelated Mario?
There'll be two of them. One's the retro style colors, like original, and then there's one that's more redefined but still pixelated. One is rumored to be coming as a bundle only. So
with Mario Maker.
Which, who knows how hard that's going to be to get. And then you have the other one separate. And then Animal Crossing has a bunch of Amiibos, but now they're doing NFC cards as well, which is waste.
It's for the people that live in the ghetto. I can't afford the Amiibos.
But the cards will probably cost $10.
No way. For what, a single card?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, that is no way.
Fine, you'll get a 3-pack for like $15. I'm throwing it out there. I've been pretty accurate with the amiibo pricing, like the Splatoon, the Splatoon.
It's placenta.
Yeah, that was, and then
So
of course,
what did you think overall of Nintendo then? Before we
yeah,
go jump to Square,
meh, very underwhelming.
they showed off nothing. It's like they took the summer off. They must have a
Well,
lot. They must have a lot of free time.
they really were. They really banked on Ryu being like the hit for Saturday, and
Yeah,
everybody
but
blew their load.
you're making $7 off of that. You need to make a little bit more this quarter than $7 a download.
Right.
But this is something we even spoke of early on in the show that I've had this mentality for a few months that is Nintendo taking the rest of the year off? What are they doing?
Well, they're just taking their time with Zelda. Ultimately,
it's not going to help them sell systems when they're already years behind everybody else.
I think what they're banking on now is they're hoping with these two Skylander hybrid amiibo figures that'll help sell systems and get people to buy Skylanders for Wii U.
Between
And
these,
I wouldn't be surprised if it does because of the crazy amiibo, community that exists.
But between these Toys to Life games, Skylanders, Disney Infinity, Lego Dimensions, those are the only games that I see as far as third-party companies that are coming out for the Wii U. Is there anything else even coming out third-party wise?
Nope.
So it's
nothing worthwhile.
It's become like exclusively a first-party console.
Yes.
It's crazy
because most of the developers don't believe in Nintendo's hardware. They feel that,
and now they can't port over Xbox One and PlayStation 4 games to it either way.
Right. It's true.
So Square, I'm just going to mention a couple quick things. I know there's a game in there that you were looking forward to. Besides Kingdom Hearts, which I'm looking forward to also. They showed looks awesome, but it said in development, which is not a good sign for when it's getting released. Probably not until the end of next year also. They showed an iOS Kingdom Hearts game. They showed off Hitman. They showed off Tomb Raider, which is theirs, and they showed off some RPGs, which is your cue.
Well, the only RPG that they talked about that I cared about is an underrated game that was on my list to being shown as a prick game for PlayStation 3 and 360 called Nier, Nier. This was a really cool action RPG in the vein of Zelda. A lot darker, grittier, traditional post-apocalyptic kind of world. But you go through the levels. You have your sword. You build up, your life, and you get this book called the Grimoire of Ice that gives you abilities and creates like this kind of like shadow beings that you end up utilizing as part of your combat system, which is pretty cool. Very different take on the genre, and it was very underrated. Once the game went out of print, the game got really high in demand, skyrocketed in prices, and then somehow GameStop got their hands on reprints and then put them out for like $20.
Conveniently.
Yep. So from what I'm seeing with that, it looks like we're getting the same environment, same locations that we got with an older story. Kind of concerns me because, are they taking the game, redoing it? Because in Japan, there's two versions of the game. There's Nier Revenant and Nier Gestalt. It's basically the same game. The only difference is the main character is completely different as far as design. And Nier Gestalt, I'm pretty sure, is the version that we got here. I could be wrong, but ultimately there's a more older age character with white hair. That's the character you get here and in Japan.
I lost you, Ben.
Maybe they're doing the same idea, taking it and kind of putting a coat of paint on it. How far is it in development? I don't know. Probably just getting started, I'm guessing, because they didn't really show anything. But it's exciting to see that they didn't forget about a franchise like that.
All right. So what did you think of Kingdom Hearts?
Amazing.
Looks great, right?
Amazing.
A little
Like,
a little concerning though. It says in development with no year or anything.
nope. That means that we're not getting it till probably to 2017.
Yeah,
I'm gonna guess because we'll
I,
probably
I was
get it in Japan next year.
I was trying to be optimistic, saying end of 2016, but probably early 2017 is more likely.
It sucks. It really sucks. I'm happy, but I'm happy that they showed something. It
Right.
shows that they're making progress. The game is absolutely gorgeous. The graphics are smooth. It's really cool seeing a
Yeah.
60 frame a second, Kingdom Hearts, seeing a little more mature Sora. His costume is different. Some awesome summons, using
Yeah.
Disneyland rides, which is really, really different.
Using
Uh,
the like the horse and carriage, like a Hercules almost was cool.
yeah, it was a Pegasus summon.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. I love that they shown it with the original trailer, but we got a little more with the Keyblade transformations. We were able to see it turn it to dual wielding again.
Yeah. Like
Actually, see it in
guns.
action. Yeah, pretty awesome. And then he had a big cannon at one point as well, and then that was able to turn into the Pegasus summon, which ended up being like the wheels of the chariot. So really exciting. Some of that footage we kind of saw to some degree with the train. We did see that, but we saw it in a little more detail. The best part about it was the cinematic that was kind of narrating the trailer in the beginning.
Yeah.
A lot of people first announced it. A lot of these guys, I guess, don't really play the game, but they announced that the character was Riku, the one who was narrating it, and it was wrong. Only that the fanboys would really know, but it's cool. Like if you do play the games and you see who they are, which ultimately, spoiler alert, they're younger versions of Xehanort, which is ultimately the primary villain in the series. That's not later introduced really until later in the games. And then it's also Master Iroquois, which is from Birth by Sleep. And they're young, kids, pretty much kind
Right.
of like when Sora and Riku from the first game. So it's really cool to see them go back that far because we haven't gotten backstory with that. So I'm really excited. And the dialogue was in English, which made it even better.
Yes.
So
I thought it was really cool. I just actually read that Warner Brothers canceled the collector's edition of Batman just now. They
yeah,
canceled the Batmobile version of it, which is kind
I,
of crazy.
I was gonna save that for the end to make you upset, but I'm glad you saw it without me telling you.
Well, I didn't have that one pre-ordered. I had the one with the statue.
Okay.
That one was a lot more expensive, so I guess they didn't get the numbers they wanted for it. But to
Well,
cancel it
I
a
mean,
week before,
it disappeared off of
uh,
production like right away though, so it wasn't available for pre-order for that long.
oh, maybe it
Like I
wasn't
was,
cost efficient for them or something. Obviously, a week before is kind of strange.
yeah, they got all the boxes and all the freaking wheels came off.
But it's funny they dropped it during E3, so it would get lost in the clutter, make it not seem as bad. Maybe that's why they did it on purpose.
Right, it's true.
Then also outside of the conferences, I got a game that I'm very excited for called Transformers Devastation, which will be in the 80s style Generation 1 with the voices from the 80s show. For the most part, looks like everyone is on that they're utilizing is from the original cartoon. It's made by Platinum Games, and I thought it looks great. I mean, the little that I saw of it, and I mean, you give me pretty much anything in that 80s Generation 1 style, and I'm in.
Cool. That wasn't something that really got shown in any of the conferences, but definitely newsworthy, especially the fact that it leaked early.
Yeah. And it seems to be a game that a lot of people that are actually playing it on the floor are picking as one of their top of show because it's of the style, the cell shaded style, how quick the gameplay is, and it being a pretty cool surprise. It's actually coming out in October.
It's pretty awesome. Was there any other surprises that you may have seen after the conferences? Any other maybe smaller titles that
Uh, n- I
threw you
mean,
off?
nothing major surprise wise. I watched some gameplay earlier today of Lego Dimensions, and it really impresses me that you could fit allowing you up to 7 characters/vehicles on the base. Putting the characters in certain positions will change the way the character is big, small. All the characters can go into all the levels, so that's kind of a jab at Disney Infinity. So you can have like Scooby Doo driving the Batmobile in the portal levels. So it's pretty crazy all the variety of things that you can do.
It's awesome. You excited about that?
I'm very excited. I mean, it's going to be expensive, but at least you get to keep the Legos after the fact, and they're not just some toy for an obsolete game where you could take the pieces off and keep them.
Right. The idea is that they want to expand that game and not have to make a game every year, which I
Right.
think is pretty clever.
But they were showing some of the Portal level, which looked pretty awesome. The Simpsons level is now up for pre-order. They showed off Dr. Venkman from Ghostbusters, so they've got a huge variety of stuff. They won't be including Star Wars or Marvel, unfortunately, due to Disney Infinity. But outside of that, I mean, the sky's the limit for that franchises and everything that they want to put in there.
Cool. For me, the only real surprise I ended up seeing which Fatal Frame for the Wii U got brought up on the sales floor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is surprising, and I think we're getting it this year. So I'm pretty excited about that. So, it's a shame that Nintendo wouldn't talk about that because we've heard about it from one of the last Nintendo Directs. So it goes to show you maybe they're not really maybe they didn't feel like it fit their theme.
Yeah, but they should be showing their third party support. They should put them front and center.
I agree. But
So,
I mean, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like with Nintendo, like for me today, I even got to see it firsthand how much they're kind of all about themselves. Like I went to the Nintendo World Store in New York City today, and it was all about promoting that they had the titles, most of the titles that they released, to the conference to be able to play at the Nintendo World Store, like Star Fox, Mario Maker, and the Zelda game. So, at the same time on the second floor, they had a huge screen displaying the Treehouse. So it was just all Nintendo. You didn't really see support for anything else, So it just goes to show you they're centering on, on what they're doing. And it could be good when you have a good track record, but, you gotta kind of prove yourself to some degree. I know that they did have the Nintendo World Championships that we didn't really speak about because it wasn't really a press conference. But, at the same time, it's really, they got to think back, like you said, to the third-party developers because they're the guys that are really pumping out all the games that can come out in a reasonable time frame. Nintendo likes to take their time with everything they come out with, and that's usually why their current gen home consoles fail. The Wii failed for the same reason. The GameCube failed earlier than it should have for the same reason. Right. The Wii U is on the way out for the same reason.
Well, the Wii U has to be the least successful of any of their systems.
I agree.
Home console, not.
I agree.
But what was your big winner? I already kind of mentioned. I thought Microsoft did the best job of any of the conferences. Who was your big winner as far as all the conferences go?
I would say Bethesda, actually.
Okay.
Because Bethesda is not a company that I usually play all of their games, at least, to the detail and excitement of something like Kingdom Hearts and stuff. But they came out swinging. They got the first chance to kind of do anything, and they blew everybody away. Like you, they got me really excited about Fallout 4. The Pip-Boy edition is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
My big thing for it, too, is I'm going to end up getting it for Xbox because they're enabling PC mods to work.
Yes, something we didn't also talk about, which is very cool. Really cool, actually, if that's a trend that starts with that game.
Yeah, really excited. And, I want to be able to give my Xbox a chance as much as we bash it. At the end of the day, it has the ability to be good.
Hashtag give Xbox a chance.
Yeah, no, hashtag save Xbox, not save Shenmue.
Shenmue.
But that's pretty much, I think. What was your best game? You got your best show, best conference. What was your best game of the show?
I mean, without of actual gameplay, not rendered video, I would say Battlefront looked like the best, looked like the most fun to play as a Star Wars fan, and all this how crazy it was, everything going on. If it was just overall in general, it would probably be pretty close to probably Horizons.
I think we're tied for that because I feel the same way. I think it was really threw me off in a good way, and I kind of got chills watching it because it gave me kind of like the feel again of Heavenly Sword that style, but mixed in with Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
But it was so fluid, and it just looked great. And robot dinosaurs, you can't go wrong with that, especially because we're in our Jurassic World kick, which we'll discuss a little more, next week.
Yes. Go see Jurassic World. It made a ton of money. There's a reason why it made a ton of money, but we'll discuss more next show.
Absolutely.
What was your worst? Who was the worst of show?
Ubisoft.
Okay.
Completely. They were embarrassing. She is not a good person to represent the company. She's
a hired gun, just like that guy that used to be for Sony.
That's fine, but you know what? Yeah, that's my point. You want to pay somebody big dollars to represent your company, you got to make sure that they represent you to the fullest extent, baby. You know what I'm saying? They can't go out there and be like ripping out their titties and everything and showing you all the bad stuff. That's not acceptable at all, baby. Like she was very cringeworthy for me.
Yeah.
Like everything she said, I just wanted to like scratch my skin off.
Yeah, it was bad. You're almost making me want to say Ubisoft also now, but I'm going to have to give the slight edge to Nintendo. I was expecting something out of Nintendo, and we got nothing.
See, for me with Nintendo, I was more underwhelmed versus disappointed. Ubisoft disappointed me because there is a game that we didn't speak about for the EA, which is important to me, which is technically my number one as far as a game that we know probably coming out before Horizon, which is Mirror's Edge.
Yes, Mirror's Edge was shown, which we knew about, but it was shown off.
Right. And I apologize for not bringing that up because that was the only saving grace for that conference for me.
Well, they had Unravel, which is a surprise title for them.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it, but that's definitely more your realm of the style of game. I appreciated it. Even the guy, when he was presenting it, I didn't really care.
He was very nervous. Very nervous.
Yeah. He was just like, I designed this when I was at the lake. In my head, I'm like, I wouldn't tell people that. That's just me. But I'm being nitpicky when I don't need to be. I think that the game looks great. I will most likely play it because it is that 2D puzzler style game.
Right.
But there was so much going on. It was definitely below my radar of kind of what I was expecting, because I had my hopes up for Beyond Good and Evil, which I knew I was going to get let down. Ubisoft can go fuck themselves because
fuck yourself, buddy.
It's all about, you got to think about your fans. Your fans want the game. The game has been talked about for years.
It's going to end up being on Kickstarter.
Save Beyond Good and Evil 2.
I also letting the world know, because we talked about it last show, we did not get a Crash Bandicoot title, that I am starting the Kickstarter Holiday 2020 Crash Bandicoot. I'm starting it. I will grab all the pieces from the people that made the old games. Hopefully they're like crack whores or something now, that I can get them for a cheap price, get them to develop a new game, and we'll kickstart it.
I support that.
Good.
I'll give you $1.
That's not enough for the game.
I'll give you this amiibo. It's probably worth $10. No, it's actually worth a lot more.
Maybe that'll get you a digital copy of the game.
Okay. Maybe you'll give me the slipcover autographed, but no actual disc.
Yes.
It's funny. Shenmue doesn't even have a physical PS4 version in the Kickstarter options.
Right.
So I kind of closed the browser after that. I said I don't want a physical PC version, so I could throw it in the closet and play PC games.
That may change, though.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Well,
before we go,
yes.
Stuff that wasn't really shown at the conferences, but I don't want to neglect. We did get a little more on the VR world. Did you look into any of that?
I did. I just don't see it as a viable option right now. I think we're not going to see any actual home-based stuff until next year. And based off what we saw with the Oculus, it's not for a middle-class American family because the cost is going to be out of this world. You're going to need a high-end PC. The controllers come separate if you want to buy those new controller peripherals. For the Oculus we're talking about, though.
Yeah, it comes with an Xbox One gamepad, but obviously to immerse yourself,
right?
You're talking a high-end, i7, PC probably spend $2,500 on everything, give or
Right.
take. A lot of money.
The Morpheus looks like it could be cool, but again, it looks very far off. And then Microsoft's hologram technology looked really cool, but again, looked even further far off. And it's going to cost a ton of money.
Plus, at the end of the day, Microsoft doesn't really have a good trend with peripherals at this point, especially anything with cameras.
100% right on that.
I'm not touching that shit with a 10-foot pole.
Well, what did
I
you
wouldn't touch it with your dick.
My dick.
Okay.
Hey, easy. Easy before you have an accident.
Oh.
Well, what did you think of the VR stuff?
Morpheus. From what I'm reading, there's a game that's getting tech demoed called Kitchen. Like I want it just for that, because it's pretty much, they're saying it's what we're gonna get instead of Silent Hills.
Okay.
They said the immersion in that first person, really dark, gritty horror. The narration that they were talking about is just, you're walking around in this area. There's a guy that's laying there dead. You go out to reach and like touch him, wakes up, starts telling you got to get out of there. And then he's like, apparently you're like, I think you're handcuffed or you're rope, tied up or something. And he's telling you, put your hands out, and he'll cut, and it's like, you have to place your hands a certain way so he doesn't like cut you in the face. But then apparently when he goes to do that, like this crazy, like, woman, pretty much the equivalent of the chick from Silent Hills, comes out behind him, takes the knife, and just starts stabbing the shit out of him and kills him. And then
what was the title for this?
Kitchen.
Oh, okay. That sounds cool.
So, I mean, for me, I've been wanting a little more to hear about Morpheus, and it seems like some of the bigger publishers are doing stuff. So I'm a little excited. I'm concerned, obviously, like everything else, how pricey is it going to be?
Yeah.
But the fact that it hooks up to the PlayStation makes it more viable to me, because I don't have to buy another PC.
Right. Exactly.
So
that's something to keep our eye on, and I'm sure will be for next year's E3 as well.
Yes.
And it will next show, when we go back to the usual show format, I'm sure there'll be some other stuff that we missed or gets shown later on, like hopefully some WWE 2K16 gets shown, which they announced has the largest roster of any WWE game ever. So hopefully we'll see something with that also. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
I think that's it. Just make sure to, go out there and save Shamu. Even though Shamu doesn't need your money, because at the end of the day, once that hit that goal, Sony said, "Oh, we're funding it."
Hashtag Team Shamu.
We just wanted to use this as a pre-order gauge interest. That's pretty much it.
Save Crash Bandicoot 2020.
2020 holiday. Hashtag. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you guys on the next show.